Pueblo, Colorado. He writes, "Dear doctors, I'm turning 50 this year and my wife is pushing me to have my colon checked. Are there options besides a colonoscopy?" This is a great question, particularly since Steve is turning 50, because a regular screening can catch colorectal cancer early. That is when it's treatable. We're lucky today because we have Dr. Jorge Rodriguez with us. He's a gastroenterologist. We have an interesting new option for people who initially may not want to undergo colonoscopy. It's called ColoSure.
Right.
Tell us about this.
Well, this is an examination that it's pretty good. It's around 80% specific and sensitive, and what it means is that it can tell you whether you have colon cancer around 80% of the time. And this is where genetics has really moved medicine forward. You know, maybe a little too quickly, but there is a certain DNA change that happens when cancer cells occur in the colon. So you collect your stool if you're afraid of going to a colonoscopy. Right there, to me, that's like a turnoff, but some people would rather do that. Yeah, you get
this
your own
goes
little
in
device.
your toilet?
There you go.
That looks like...
I tell you what, I tried this out this morning.
No.
Did you fill it up?
It's just medical.
You know, we're doctors. We can handle this, right?
How much do you have? Do you have to fill that up?
No, you don't have to fill it up.
You just have to get some sample in there.
You have to get a sample. You know what? The more you get, the greater chance of finding an abnormal cell. So we used to call that the Sister Patril hat, that little, you remember the flying nun? You sort of put it on there?
Yeah.
It looks like that. So cells
I got some stool in there, right?
If you say so, yeah.
And then, and then I pour this in with it.
Then you pour that in, and that's sort of the fixing agent that doesn't let the cells continue to change. So cancer cells have a specific DNA. You then save that. You know, you can put it in your refrigerator. Make sure to mark it. All right, make sure to mark it.
And seal it tightly.
Yeah.
Right. You know, talk about a bad casserole. You don't want to get that anywhere. We're talking serious stuff.
And this is different from the hemoccult test that your doctor
It isn't a
does,
hemoccult test. This doesn't check for the blood in the stool. It checks for the actual change in the DNA.
And we actually have an animation of this, because what happens is the cancerous cells will actually slough off, theoretically will get into your stool, correct? Because you're seeing a polyp there, which can then turn into colon cancer. You're seeing those cells come out of there, which carry the DNA that may have this genetic mutation.
Absolutely right.
Which is then coming out in your stool. We're sending it off to the lab.
To be analyzed. Now let me be very clear here. This is not the optimum test to screen for colon cancer. It's still the colonoscopy. Right. Now, remember that, you know, Travis, you showed us that polyp. Yep. Sometimes the cancer starts in the middle of the polyp, so you don't get the cells that slough off. So thinking that you have this safety net because you've done this test may be erroneous. And this test is only for people that have an average risk of colon cancer. If you have colon cancer in your family, then you need to not think that you're safe doing this, and you need colonoscopies.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I'm at higher risk because I've got it on my mom and my dad's side. My dad had colon cancer, and I'm actually due for a colonoscopy this year. I was thinking maybe I could do this instead.
Well, you know what? You know what I would do? I wouldn't do it instead. How often are you doing colonoscopies?
It's been 10 years.
Okay, no, then it's overdue. So if I had such a prominent history of colon cancer, I would probably do this test as an adjunct in addition to the colonoscopies. Exactly, and check it every year, because I think it's great as an additional test.
Regular screening saves lives.
Yeah, I'm going to take
regular screening saves lives. I think it's a great addition. You know, but if you have high risk, like Jim's family and like Jim, you need to go see your doctor every year.
And don't fear the colonoscopy. This costs $400. 112,000 people annually diagnosed with colon cancer. It is treatable if you find it early, because if it's already spread to your liver or other organs, it's almost certain death.
60% of people that should be screened in this country that are over the age of 50 are not screened. So if this helps, it's a good deal.
Quickly, the people who need to get screened.
People that are over 50 years old, people that have a high incidence of colon cancer in their family, if you have noticed blood in your stool or a change in your bowel habits, especially constipation that doesn't go away, you should see your doctor and be screened for colon cancer.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure,
colonoscopy isn't that bad.
No, it's not that bad.
And Jim's going to do one on the show to prove to everyone that it's not so bad. He's agreed to do that.
I want tickets to that show.